is, as Aditya said, it is the value chain, knowledge chain, value chain, specialist roles that we need to create, and we need to make sure that this industry has to survive more. There is an interesting aspect, and that aspect is, as we are actually dealing with this offshoring, we are actually creating that knowledge pool here. And I'm sure in years to come, India will do much more than just exporting this offshoring work. A lot of professionals from India are going to be the professionals who will work and man various global positions, because here is the set of people who have worked across geographies, who have worked across cultures, who have gained knowledge in the process of time, that you will see there is a talent pool which is sitting brimming in India, which will ensure people working in different geographies. So that is going to be the future. It's not ITS, their ITS will be a different, playing a different leverage, because an ITS professional is one who has actually worked across regions, across geographies, across portfolios, and he or she will get an opportunity much more faster than any person who has just fixated on an Indian environment. So that's the way the industry will change and define, and that will later stabilize. And you will actually, and if you look at IT, yes, slowly becoming one of the largest industries, training a lot of professionals to be and take those opportunities. So that is the third element which will ensure the growth is continued.
I'd like to close this. Sorry.
Yeah, and I was just to add on, it will also depend as to how well our industry bodies like NASSCOM can actually do a syndication of the India interest with the US powers that be. And also, I think it is more a perception management. So some sort of a reverse cultural sensitization, if that is there as a construct, that will help. And I can give you a very small example. This is a completely different story. Indians, all of us, are known to be very, very affectionate people, So there was this, without getting to name the company, this was a very recent case. Somebody from India went over to the client side, a senior guy. So the client invited him for dinner at his place with his family. And this particular gentleman, being a true Indian, went over and he hugged this small girl who was about 6 years old, and he started saying, whatever he did, and hugged her and kissed her and whatever. And the housewife called the police, and he said that he was trying to molest my daughter. So I think, all about perceptions, cultural sensitivities, and to ensure that India could be a good hub. Otherwise, Philippines will just grab it from under our feet and we'll be nowhere. So there are some of these challenges which I think industry should also realize. Otherwise, one such isolated case is enough for a Barack Obama to actually generalize for the entire subcontinent.
Okay, one last question. I think I'd like to wrap it up. It's for everybody, so we can start with Anshuman. What are your expectations from recruitment partners in the next couple of years?
3 top expectations.
3 top expectations.
3 topics, okay. I think first and foremost, provide us with limited candidates but the right fits. Do the initial assessment at your end before they actually come to us, so that our work becomes easier. A second, I would say look at more scalable resources. Now, from a scalability point of view, each and every company within ITS would have talked about a growth model from X dollars in terms of revenue to a certain other stage. So I think the point I'm trying to again make here is, whenever you are assessing people at your level, look at whether they fit into the current role. Also, what is the growth opportunity? To what extent will they be able to grow within the company itself? I think those are 2 very key expectations. And third element, even if you are getting people, I'm sure all of us have proper background checking schemes in place, but if that element could also be built in, I think that would be asking for too much, but if it can be done, it's more the better.
See, we provide it as a paid for service. Hira has a partner an antecedent checking partner that can end up with ERA. So I think ERA members get preferential rates from them, so it can be done through us. But that needs expertise of the kind that a lot of us don't have. In terms of doing background checks.
Sure.
So it is available as a service to customers.
Pankaj, your expectation?
I think the type of industry that I am currently representing, I think the first thing which I would like to have from any recruitment partner is to come with some innovative solution, to meet this demand that we have of a very different breed of lawyers. So and what we have seen in the last couple of months is that even if it is to the extent of changing the paradigm, of the entire thing, we are fine by, in partnering with those people who have the ability to take that risk. So I'll just give an example that we over the last couple of months that we have been hiring these people, we suddenly came to know that some of them are there who are fine not doing a full-time job with us, which otherwise has always been a concern, that the moment somebody says that, look, I don't want to be a full-time, give me a part-time thing. I'll be there for, say half a day, or I'll work on a retainership basis. But you can give me project-based studies and I'll complete that. So our work is still getting fulfilled, even if this person is working on a retainership basis or a part-time. So our objective is still being met. But then I need to have a partner who can help me source such sort of candidates for me. Now, if that means, even if it's a pioneering work in this field, in this industry, I'm fine taking a call, but I need to have a partner who can say yes to it. I'm fine